Today we will be changing the rear differential fluid on a GMC Envoy.
Ooh.
We will also be reviewing Eaton's locking differential and GM's fluid, as well as answering the question, do you need to change your differential fluid often? You will need the following: 3/8 drive ratchet, 13mm impact socket, PB blaster, hammer, flathead screwdriver, 2 quarts of GM75W90 lubricant, a quart pump, and 1 bucket to dispose of 2 quarts of the used fluid. If you're replacing the differential cover, you'll need GM part 12479377, which comes with a gasket and 12 bolts. RTV sealant is optional. If you live in the Midwest, you may want to use some type of rubberized undercoating. First, use a hammer to hit the plug straight on. This is called shocking the bolt. It can break loose any rust between the threads and plug. You can use a file or knife to remove any scale from the mating surface of the plug and the differential. Then spray PB blaster into the plug and let it sit for a few hours or overnight, depending on the amount of rust. The vehicle has never had its drain plug removed and has endured 13 winters in the Midwest, so we applied PB blaster and let it sit overnight. The drain plug takes a 3/8 drive, and a swivel will be helpful due to the clearance issue of the differential. The drain plug has a magnet inside which collects metal shavings from enclosed gears. Wipe it off. If you are just checking your differential fluid, you can use the twist tie. The fluid should come up to the very opening of the drain plug, so the whole twist tie should be covered in gear oil. Next, jack up the vehicle towards the back. Always use jack stands. Place your drain bucket under the differential case. Using a 13mm impact socket, unscrew the 12 bolts in the cross pattern. Typically, we would recommend an impact wrench for the rear differential bolts, as it would speed up the process. But due to the vehicle enduring 13 years of the Midwest, we opted to use the ratchet due to the risk. Use the ratchet. Okay.
Remember, you are being paid for this.
We opted to use a ratchet to reduce the risk of breaking the bolt. If you are not replacing the differential cover or cleaning the internal magnet, you can leave the top 3 bolts on and simply let the fluid drain out. Upon removing the bolts, you will notice a red or pinkish coloring on the middle of the bolts. This is thread locker, and is meant to keep the bolts from becoming loose over time. It will also make them almost impossible to remove. The typical colors of thread locker from weakest to strongest are yellow, blue, and red. Remove the differential cover with a flathead screwdriver. This vehicle has 200,000 miles worth of gear shavings within its differential. The maintenance schedule recommends that the differential fluid be changed every 50,000 miles. We did notice the last 30,000 miles, the rear wheels seemed to hesitate and slip when it came to traction on speeds of 45 miles per hour. If you are reusing the cover, remove all of the metal shavings from the internal magnet and sand off any scale from the outer bezel before reapplying. You will notice glimmering metal shavings in the 2 quarts of used fluid. This is normal, and the longer it has been since you have changed your oil, the higher the metal content will be. Next, remove the old gasket from the differential. You can use sandpaper or emery cloth to remove any remaining scale. The surface needs to be clean and flat before reapplying the differential cover. You can use brake cleaner to clean the inside of the differential cover. Applying rubberized coating to the outside of the new differential cover is optional. Once you have applied the rubberized coating, allow it 10 minutes to dry and clean out the differential and planetary gears with a rag in the meantime. Do not use paper towels or any material that might leave dust within the case. Apply the RTV sealant into the inner edge of the differential cover. Apply the gasket over top and let it sit for about 10 minutes until it becomes tacky. Fold the differential cover back in a crisscross pattern. Open the first quart of ACDelco 75W90 synthetic axle lubricant.
Just put it in there and screw it on tight.
Remove the cap and screw the quart pump into a bottle.
This stuff smells terrible, by the way. It's supposed to smell like grapes. I don't think it smells like grapes. On this side, you're gonna go other way. Yeah, so head.
With the drain plug removed and the differential cover fully tightened, place the tube into the drain plug and begin dispensing the fluid into the differential. Watch for any leaks from the outside of the differential cover.
Now make sure the tube does not... See him, Emma? I know.
Open the second quart of axle lubricant and drain the remaining fluid into the first quart into it. Dispense the entire bottle into the rear differential. The drain plug will start leaking when it is full, and it should take full 2 quarts. Tighten the drain plug back on with the 3/8 wrench. Apply the final layer of rubberized coating over the newly screwed in bolts.
So do you know what this is?
No.
Do you need to change your rear differential fluid every 50k miles? No. Dispose of the used gear oil at any local auto parts stores, such as Advanced Auto Parts. The parts for this repair and service are listed below. Thanks for watching.